Right now, the Office of the Public Protector has been in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons recently. In June, President Cyril Ramaphosa placed Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane on suspension. The Section 194 impeachment inquiry into her fitness to hold office continues in the National Assembly. Now, Advocate Kholeka Gcaleka is now acting Public Protector. She's taken over at a time when the office is facing several challenges. Now, Advocate Gcaleka is with us in studio. Thank you so much, Advocate, for your time and for coming through to just spend a little bit of time with me in studio. Just firstly, looking at all the, public perceptions that might be going around when it comes to the Public Protector's Office, tell me about your concerns, if you have any, of how the public is now perceiving the office because of aspersions that are made around, whether it's politicians or people with opinion pieces in newspapers, etc.
Good afternoon, Masifa, and good afternoon to the viewers, and thank you for having me over at the studio. Firstly, yes, perceptions are concerning for us as an institution. This is a very critical institution established to be a watchdog and strengthen this democracy. Now, if we have got several issues which give a negative perception, it is a call for us to be concerned. However, we are encouraged by the number of complaints that we continue to get from members of the public, the magnitude of those complaints where we get an opportunity to make a difference in people's lives and be that watchdog in terms of the Constitution. So ours is really to ensure that we stick true to our mandate and we increase our quality assurance processes to ensure that we produce reports which are of integrity.
How does the public continue to trust the office if, like, for instance, there are all these aspersions? I know that you're saying that you also have people still sending you complaints, etc. But for those who are sitting there thinking, maybe I shouldn't even complain to the Public Protector's Office because of the bias that apparently is there.
I mean, Masiho, receiving over 5,000 of complaints thus far in this financial year, for me, it definitely says that people still do have confidence in us. Definitely, there are those who are obviously discouraged by the news around our office, but it is really for us to go out there, speak to members of the public as we have been doing through our outreach programs and some of the stakeholder relations programs that we are doing to ensure the public that the Office of the Public Protector is functional. The men and women who are doing the work there are men and women of high ethics and integrity, and their commitment is to ensure that we make a difference to South Africa.
Let's talk about your relationship with the now suspended Public Protector. You deputize her in that office. How is your relationship? Is it tumultuous at all?
Not at all. We've got a collegial and a very professional relationship, and we've worked well together.
So if she is reinstated back into her position, you'd be able to work together with no problem?
Definitely. We work very well together as we have been working together, because what around our work and what embeds our work, it's really the Constitution and the law, and it shouldn't be personal, and it is not personal. We are both officers of the court, we're both admitted advocates, and we are both appointed independently from Parliament with a specific mandate in line with the Constitution and the Public Protector Act.
All right, now let's talk about, of course, just to get the elephant out the room, the Phala investigation, etc., political parties and some people, ordinary people in the public, saying that it's taking too long. You said no, it's actually not taking too long. So if you could take us into your confidence, how much longer will the Public Protector's Office need to investigate this particular case?
At this stage, really, it would be amiss for me to put any time frame, to the investigation. The investigation is just over 4 months old. And when I look into the precedents of the office on how previous public protectors have dealt with eNCA matters and how long it has taken them, really from the time of Advocate Baqwa, Mushwana, it has never taken anything less than 2 years. The ones of the former Deputy President Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka, it took about 9 to 10 months, and And remember, with times, the law develops, things become more complex and complicated. And I mean, right now, our remedial action is binding, and we've got a lot of case law against us on how we conduct our investigation. And now that means we need to tighten our and reinforce our quality assurance processes. I mean, even Advocate Mkhwebane, the least she's taken on an eNCA matter was about 8 months or so, and it was overturned by the courts. And the most critical things that courts have criticized us on is procedure, it's due diligence, it's rationality. So those are the things that we need to tighten up. So rushing through an investigation because somebody wants it finalized is not going to assist. We need to ensure the principle of fairness, we need to ensure that procedure is followed, we abide by the law, but most importantly, we produce a report that has integrity. And the integrity of our report depends on how we collect information, we assess, analyze, draft our reports and apply the relevant law to that. And all of that requires due diligence. And just rushing through it is not going to assist us, but it's also not going to assist the nation, because this report is for the nation and not just for individuals.
I'll come back to the report and other reports in a little bit. You know, you mentioned something that I thought was quite important in terms of the findings of numerous courts against the Public Protector's Office. I believe that we shouldn't always say that it's findings against the suspended Public Protector herself, because she has a team, including yourself, that helps her, you know, come to findings when she eventually releases a report. So, you know, previously, a lot of people would say previously the Public Protector's Office wouldn't have so many courts ruling against it. You know, so how do you feel about being part of this tenure where the courts, even constitutional courts, have found that the Public Protector's Office erred?
Let me just give most perspective. I started at the Public Protector in 2020, so most of the matters were already in the process of the court, you know, before I started off. But what we have since done really is an introspection.
Well, the fact that you joined the office even after all these cases, that means you trust in it, or you can make a difference?
Definitely, definitely. The most important thing is to make introspection as an office and say, what are the issues that we've been missing that the courts have picked up? Because you must also take the court's criticism as guidance in terms of the law and the development in the law. And I mean, the issue of the Nkandla judgment of making our remedial actions binding have also not assisted much, because now everybody knows that you need to implement. You can't just simply ignore the remedial actions of the Public Protector. So on our side, what we have since done is to strengthen quality assurance processes. When I was given an opportunity to act last year, I actually revived what we now call full bench, which is a quality assurance at the highest level, and ensure quality assurance at the COO's level, who's the head of investigations of the institution. Involve more people, have more of a multi-task team than a team of just one skill, you know, but also diversify your skill as an institution, which is what we are looking at. But also, you know, if you look at the history of the Public Protector, it is an ombudsman. It was never established to be such a strong, legally managed institution, and therefore even the skills we have are really not that much of a strong legal skill institution. But now it is critical that we do so, and that our focus really becomes more on the law, and that is the work that we are currently doing.
And I mean, to go back to reports, you know, most of the time, obviously what made the Public Protector's Office more famous to those of, you know, to the public that wasn't aware that there's this office that fights for their rights, is what happened during the times of Nkandla and investigations there when it came to Advocate Thulisile Madonsela. But, you know, are you, how do you feel about the fact that it's always these political cases that involve politicians and thoughts of corruption and court cases that also then involve politicians, you know? Does that make you concerned at all that, you know, people are not celebrating what you've done for, as the predecessor used to say, the Koko in Tembisa, but we're more interested in what you're doing against politicians that are thought to be on the wrong side?
Look, it's the nature of the work. The politicians are the leadership of the country. They are the ones who actually drive service delivery in the country. Before elections, they make all sorts of promises on delivery, and erosion of good governance and corruption totally ensures that they are unable to deliver to the people. And therefore, it deprives the people of South Africa and the public at large of their basic rights as enshrined in the Constitution. Therefore, the public is correct to be concerned on the cases that involve politicians, because these are actually the people in whose hands the rule of law in terms of governing the country is entrusted. And that should be everybody's business of what character are those people. And our eNCA cases speak directly to the character of the leadership of this country.
So earlier you said that, some cases in the Public Protector's Office took up to 2 years or just a little less, right? So now I'm just imagining an analyst somewhere at home or a viewer who's watching right now who's thinking, the acting public protector is just trying to make sure that we find nothing out about this Phala Phala investigation until December comes and goes and Ramaphosa is awarded the presidency again. What would you say to those people who are at home right now having those kind of thoughts?
Our duty as the public protector is not to align ourselves to political events. Ours really is to ensure that we shape this country for generations to come to inherit a stable democracy. And ours is to ensure that decisions that we take are sustainable, because it also doesn't help to rush through a decision and it's overturned in court thereafter. And particularly, even if the court overturns, let it be on side of the law, you've erred on the, but let it not be on some of the issues that we've heard about the Office of the Public Protector. Therefore, our view is that we are doing as much as we can to ensure that we finalize this investigation speedily, but within reason of the evidence before us. How much more information do we need? Due process that we need to take, because we want to issue a quality investigation. I mean, in respect of time, we are aware that South Africans have become impatient, not for December. December really doesn't concern us, but they've become impatient of conduct that's not in line with the Constitution and the law and unaccountability. That is why when I started acting, we've beefed up the team. We now have got 2 investigators, both senior and experienced, who are dedicated in the matter. The investigators don't report to me directly. There's the executive manager who's responsible for investigations. There's the chief operations officer who's the head of investigations, to whom they report to ensure that the investigation is running correctly. But also we've brought in our legal team in terms of our legal services who are highly experienced. We've brought in our research team. So it is a multilateral and multifaceted investigation which involves everybody. From time to time they assess, they pick up issues that they must close gaps here and there. So that is what we've done to ensure that, one, we don't delay it unnecessarily, have more people on the team, but ensure that we produce quality. And really my concern is quality more than anything else. But of course, they say justice delayed is justice denied. Yeah. It must be timeless.
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine if anything is found in your report after 2024 and, we're stuck with somebody that South Africans feel they cannot trust? But talk to me about this particular issue. Are you a Cyril Ramaphosa crony?
I don't even know the president. I've met the president in public events, I think about twice or so. So I don't know, how can I be a Cyril Ramaphosa crony? But that for me is really not a concept that bothers me. Mine is to focus and do the work. People are entitled to their opinions, but what I should be judged upon, it's the work that I produce, the quality of work that I produce, and whether the facts are applicable to the law and the other way around. And that's for me what's critical, and that's the basis on which I should be judged.
All right, let's take a short break, please, Acting Public Protector, for you and I just to have a sip of water, and then we continue with this conversation with the Acting Public Protector, Kholeka Gcaleka, just after this short break.